was born in the early 90s, which means much of my childhood was spent watching Disney princess movies and dressing up like them too. Here's a photo of me on my 5th birthday party dressed up as Cinderella, and on my cake you can see 2 Barbie princesses, 1 Little Mermaid, and Prince Charming, who seems to be having a great time. I can vividly remember this game I used to play by myself. I would dress up as a princess, decorate my room as if it was a palace, lay down across 2 chairs, and just pretend to be asleep and wait for my Prince Charming to come and wake me up with true love's kiss. Yep, that was the whole game, and for some reason, I didn't get bored of that game, even though he never showed up. I just grew up. When I got to age 16, now at Performing Arts College, I began dieting as a way to fit in. What started out as calorie counting with a friend had soon turned into a full-blown eating disorder that would consume my life for 7 years. I felt like I was at war with food in my body for what seemed like an eternity. One week, I would be starving myself, living off sugar-free drinks and apples, counting my calories meticulously and weighing myself every single morning. The next, I would be binging on anything I could get my hands on. Sweets, ice cream, pizza, you name it, until I was in so much pain, I would make myself sick. I was addicted to the high of diets and quick weight loss, but also addicted to numbing any kind of emotion that I felt with food. But I thought, with every ounce of my body, that if I just found the perfect diet, all my problems would go away. When I turned 21, my life took a turn. My dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer and given 4 months to live, and the cancer had already spread from the pancreas to the liver. And losing my dad so young made me realize just how important our health is and just how precious this opportunity we have at life is. And I realized that while I was living with this eating disorder, I wasn't fully living. So I decided to turn my obsession with food into an obsession with health. I decided to train as a health coach and learn everything there was to learn about disease prevention via nutrition. I discovered veganism, which I thought was the answer to everything. I thought veganism would not just cure cancer, but also cure my eating disorder. So I became obsessed with it and started preaching to the masses. One day, I was walking home from dinner with a friend, and I was full. But that urge to binge hit me, and I felt like a crazed animal again. I swung by the supermarket, and the rest was a blur. I ended up leaving with a full bag full of food, got home to my apartment, and laid it all out in front of me. And there was fruits, vegetables, tubs of almond butter, dairy-free this, sugar-free that, vegan this, gluten-free that, all of these healthy, clean snacks. And I inhaled the whole lot in one sitting until I was in so much pain, I was making myself sick. And that was when I realized something. Yeah, all of this food was healthy, but the way in which I was using that food was not. I realized then that my food had changed, but my relationship with food hadn't. All of my thoughts and feelings around food were still the same. Guilt, shame, restriction, punishment. I realized that I'd been looking for my answers in all the wrong places. Yes, nutrition is important, but it's just not the whole conversation. I realized that if I wanted to truly heal, I had to go deeper than the surface, deeper than just what I ate. So I decided to go on a journey to healing my relationship with food by diving into my psychology and my mindset, why I ate, how I ate, why I felt this way towards food. And what I discovered would change my life forever. I realized that my relationship with food was really a reflection of my relationship with myself. So me having an eating disorder was not about me being at war with food. It was about me being at war with myself. What was I really hungry for when I was plowing through all of this food, never feeling truly satisfied? I was determined to find out. So I began to examine my relationship with food. I began to pay attention to all of these stories and beliefs that I had hung on to over the years about food, our bodies, our weight. And I realized just how ingrained in our society diet culture is. Let me give you some examples. Diets or any change of food cannot start any day of the week apart from Monday, right? On Monday to Friday, we eat clean. But then Saturday and Sunday, eat whatever the hell you like. Calories don't even count. There are two types of food in this world, good food and bad food. If you eat one bad food, you may as well carry on eating bad food and just write off the rest of the week and start again on Monday. These are all the things I used to tell myself. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had a child or a teenager and they said these things to me, I would be horrified. I wouldn't think that was good for them at all. And yet, I accepted that for myself for years. Did you know the average woman spends 25 grand in her lifetime on dieting? 25 grand, yeah. And yet, it's commonly known that 95% of people that lose weight on a weight loss diet gain it all back again and more within the first year. And 84% of slimming clubs are made up of repeat customers. So what's the missing piece of the puzzle here? We all know that diets don't work, and there's a plethora of reasons why. But from what I understand, the biggest reason why they don't work is they don't go below the surface. They don't address that person's relationship with food and themselves. They don't address that person's inner emotional guidance system, why we find ourselves in these destructive behaviors around food, why we become addicted to certain foods, why some people struggle and some people don't, and how we can get free of this. Now, I don't believe in diets. I believe in intuitive eating, because I believe intuitive eating paves the way for intuitive living. And this is now what I do. I help women to transform their relationships with food, but I don't give them meal plans to follow. I teach them self-love and self-awareness. Many of us are too afraid to really be with our feelings. We're so used to burying them all the time in external things, food, drinks, social media, other people, anything to avoid us really feeling. But I believe we have to feel it to heal it. This is how we figure out what we're really hungry for. For me, the missing piece of the puzzle, it was self-love. What I was really hungry for all along was my own love. I spent years waiting for this prince to come along and save me. Then I waited for the perfect diet to come along and save me. Then I waited for my body to be perfect before I thought I was able to live my life. I realized that the one I was waiting for all along was me. I was the one here to save myself. And by learning to love myself, I was able to set myself free. So I want to know what you are really hungry for. And I mean out of life. Because there's a huge difference between physical hunger and spiritual hunger. Now, when I say a physical hunger, we all know how this feels. Although, if you've been a dieter your whole life, you're probably really out of touch with what your natural hunger signals are. Physical hunger, you feel it in the stomach, right? It comes on slowly over time. It's a gradual thing. And it gives you the chance to think about, what do I want to eat? How am I going to nourish my body? Whereas a craving is very different, isn't it? A craving comes on very fast, almost like something takes over us. And we don't feel that in the body because it exists in the mind, because it's a psychological response to something else, which means it's a need that will never be truly satisfied or met with anything external. No matter how many different foods you try, no matter how much you eat, you never feel truly satisfied, which is why when you go on those binges, it feels like you're filling a void. You feel full but yet empty at the same time. And this is because that type of hunger is a spiritual hunger, which means anything that your soul or spirit is hungry for. Could be love, connection, belonging. Could be creativity, adventure, freedom, a change in your life. This is why healing your relationship with food is never about food. And when someone has issues with food, it's never, ever about the food. It's always about something deeper. And this is why now, the women that I work with, it's never about just changing their relationship with food. They realize that actually they were craving a change in their life, and they want to quit their jobs and start their dream business, or they need to leave an unhealthy relationship, or they want to travel the world or live their dreams. See, cravings are not bad. Cravings can actually be our teachers. They can be like torches shining a light on where we need to look at, what needs our attention in our life. Eckhart Tolle said, all cravings are the mind seeking salvation or fulfillment in external things and in the future as a substitute for the joy of being. So next time you have a craving, instead of beating yourself up for not having good enough willpower, ask yourself, what is this here to show me? What is this trying to teach me? So I want to do a little exercise with you, and this is going to be particularly helpful for anyone that really struggles with emotional eating or cravings. So this is going to help you figure out what you might be hungry for. So I want you to think of that go-to emotional food, that food that you always crave, and it's different for everyone. Could be chocolate, chips, pizza, sweets, ice cream. Think of that one food that is like your thing. You just always need that thing. And then I want you to think back to your earliest memory of having that food. Your earliest memory of having that food. And then I want you to think of the emotion associated with that memory. How does that memory make you feel? Now, I'm going to share mine with you. So throughout the whole time that I struggled with food, my go-to emotional food was always pick and mix sweets. You know, like you pick it out of the things and you put it in the bag. It's like kids love it. I loved it, and I would spend like 20 pounds on pick and mix. It was a problem, right? And my earliest memory of having sweets like that was being picked up from school on a Friday and being given £1 of pocket money to spend on sweets. But I would only get it if I'd been good. So when I became an adult, I had made that association between sweets and a reward for being good. So whenever I wanted to treat myself or reward myself, I would be straight to the sweet stand. Now, I did this with another lady, and she shared with me that her go-to food was always cheddar cheese. And when we went back to her earliest memory of this, she was never allowed it in the house. So her memory is of her sneaking it out the fridge when no one was looking. So she made that connection between cheese and rebellion, being naughty, and freedom and independence. Another woman I did this with, her go-to food was Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And her memory of that was eating it with her mum when her mum was upset, and it would make her happy. So the connection there was Ben & Jerry's will make you happy when you are sad, and connection and love with her mum. So you can see how this can help you understand that sometimes when you think you're craving food, you could actually be craving something deeper. And usually this boils down to 3 things that we're all, as humans, hungry for: love and connection, happiness, and fulfillment. So, love. I mean, let's be honest. Food feels like love. It's no wonder we get the two confused. So many of us use food as a substitute for love. Really, what we need is a hug or a cry or to see a friend. But most often, when we think we need love from another, we really just need to love ourselves more, which is why self-love is such a huge part of this conversation. Learning to love yourself and become your own best friend is really the most incredible journey you can go on. And there is no destination with that journey. It just keeps getting better. Happiness. Now, if your life is not making you happy, it's very easy to turn to food, and food becomes your happy place. The one thing you can look forward to after a bad day, eating. But the key here is to make your life your happy place, so you're not always needing to escape your life with food. And then finally, fulfillment. If we don't feel like we're leading a fulfilled life, we turn to filling up from the outside in instead. And this can be with food, this can be with drink, shopping, all of these things we try and fill up with. But the key is to fill ourselves up from the inside out by pursuing a fulfilled life. Deepak Chopra says the inward journey is about finding your own fullness, something that no one else can take away. Finding your own fullness. I just love that. And I believe this is the key, not just to transforming your relationship with food, but to truly transforming your life and leading a life beyond your wildest dreams. Of course, it's way easier to just keep joining new diets or keep downloading new meal plans, going round and round the merry-go-round, never getting anywhere. It takes courage to pursue a fulfilled life and go on a journey of self-love. But if you're willing to take that step, I believe you can live a life beyond your wildest dreams. And that is what I believe the world is truly hungry for. Thank you.